Now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Because it's time to write now.
Welcome to the Right Now community. Today, we're going to be doing some writing sprints and hopefully getting in some good writing motivation for the day. I'm Kaufman. I'm your host. I'm on my mission to help the writers of the world with the process, lifestyle, and mindset that it takes to be a writer. I do that by doing these daily writing motivation streams and doing all this with the Right Now community. Today is day 389 consecutive writing streams with many, many more days to come. So come join us because we're starting right now. So what we'll be doing today, we'll be doing not one, not two, but 3 writing sprints. I need to get some work done on Scarecrow. Come join me. We'll take some breaks in between and check in, but today I'm just like, all right, let's just get straight into it. Let's try to warm up the writing juice, the writing vibes, if you haven't done so already. As you can see, I already have my screen all loaded up here. I got to a good place with my writing yesterday. I was in a good place. So I'm really hoping to be able to make some progress. So what we'll do is we'll hop straight into it. Hey, what's up, Lewis? Welcome back to the stream, my friend. Long time no chat. I hope the writing vibe has been treating you well. Very, very much so. So we've been having some really, really great days so far with the community, and I'm just excited to be able to get some writing in. Like I shared, for those of you who've been with us recently, I'm really pushing myself this next month to really dig into Scarecrow so I can hit my goals. Let's see. So I'm about 35% of the way into this second draft and many, many more days to come. Hey, what's up, Bethany? Welcome, welcome, welcome. How is the writing vibe going today? You still working on that other story or are you starting a new one? All right. So I'll check in more a little bit. Feel free to drop a comment and I'll come join you in the chat during the sprint. But if you want to get something done, whether you're brainstorming, writing, or editing, that is all part of the process. Come join me because it's time to write now. All right, writing sprint number 1, success. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. All right. Oof. All right, let's take a break before we hop into another writing sprint. I'm making some awesome progress. I feel like I'm such a roll today. This week, I've been on a really great roll with Scarecrow. So, for those of you who don't know, right, I'm about 35% of the way in through Scarecrow. I'm at the beginning of the second act. I have the last Scarecrow and his companion, Mr. Crow. Mr. Crow's like this kind of eccentric. He's like this eccentric crow character. He's been through quite a severe amount of stuff, but he kind of goes back and forth as this kooky character, and I really like it. I like that sometimes he just spouts nonsense that doesn't make sense, and then sometimes he speaks from a place of sounding like he should sound really profound, but it still doesn't make sense. But he has this kind of like likability, but he's also has this almost like creepy dark nature to him, which creates this really nice imbalance to Scarecrow. And I think it really speaks to the world. So I'm very, very happy with how Mr. Crow is coming across. Scarecrow and Crow now just Crow had stashed the quilt, which they had been instructed by the mentor character, the last robot, before the last robot was gone, that they had to find the quilt or use the quilt to get to the graveyard of the last. So they have the quilt, but Scarecrow is trying to understand why in the memories quilt was flying around kind of like magic carpet, but now the quilt is inanimate. So they're at this point, we're at the end of this new city arc, which is the end of this arc before Scarecrow and Crow embark on the next part of the journey, which is really the act 2, all the act 2 obstacles. So I'm very happy with how they're coming out. I would love to hear, how is your storytelling coming out? Are you making some progress on your storytelling? Were you able to get any words done on that sprint? I would love to hear, drop a comment. I know I saw a couple of you guys jumping in there, by the way. Loeb, thanks for the suggestions. I'm actually really liking some of those recommendations you shared so far. I'm going to hop into those in just a second. Super Rouge, I know that you sounds like dealing with some environmental stuff. So it sounds like you tried to write for a little bit and then kind of go back and forth, realizing writing wasn't for you. And well, you're definitely welcome here regardless. You're like, I've been bullied for the short stories I used to write. I used to write fanfics of Sonic characters, like make my own story with those characters, and I was bullied when people found out. And I think that's always really difficult, right? Especially when we post stuff online, and we're opening ourselves up to the world. I think ultimately when we write stuff, we have to be good. We have to be all right with who we are and where we're putting it out to. And if we're putting out in a space where people are bullying us, then either if we have control over those communities, like let's say I put it on my social media profile and someone's being mean or disrespectful, then we can just ban them, right? Then you can just delete their comments, ban them. If you're putting them up on a website, like something that's getting feedback from other people, I think I would try to understand why would people respond the way that they do. I would try to understand. And I think that would suck because the writing is such a creative process. But the beautiful thing is, Super Rouge, that the Right Now community is actually really, really, really supportive. So you guys have come to the absolutely right place if you're looking for a daily writing motivation community. Which now is probably a great time. If you're enjoying the stream, follow and subscribe. We're here every day with the Right Now community. We do daily writing motivation streams. We have author interviews. We have our story and critique show where you can submit feedback for your story this Saturday. We have the podcast. We have a fiction contest coming up. We have a book club and so much more. So if you're looking for daily writing motivation, this is the place to be. So tap those follow or subscribe buttons right now. All right, I wanted to make sure to get that ad in. Let's see. Yeah, Bethany, I love how your comment as well. You're like, screw the bullies that bully us. We can rise above their hate. I absolutely love that, Bethany. 100%. I love writing with all my heart, and literally no one will be able to stop me. If I started getting a lot of hate, I think I would for me personally, I try to empathize with people who are being hateful, especially online. I'm like, you really have that much hate in your heart that you have to like put that into like some online form, I will empathize and then I just delete and ban them from the community. Hence one of the reasons that I wanted to create a really motivational community. And it's interesting you were chatting about the George R.R. Martin, how he didn't become big until late-ish in life. Yeah, so George R.R. Martin was originally a screenwriter working in television in Hollywood. He wanted to do the Game of Thrones originally, but they were not for that. So he essentially quit Hollywood, departed Hollywood completely, went to go write Game of Thrones, and the original book became a bestseller. But that was many, many years later into his life. So absolutely. And I think George R.R. Martin is a great story of, you know what, sometimes you have to be in the right place in your life to be able to tell the story that you want to tell. Hey, what's up, Heather? I saw you hop into the stream. How's the writing treating you today, my friend? Bethany, you're like, I had a boy in my class steal my book when I first started writing a random story, and he actually read it and liked it, but it was like a teen girl story, so surprised he liked it. Like, to be honest, I think I like script writing better, but maybe one day I'll give writing novels another try, even if it's short stories. But I don't feel confident in writing right now. And that, I think that also speaks to, you have to be in the right place to write. We have a lot of novel writers. We also have some screenwriters in the community as well. We have graphic novelists, we have short story, we have flash fiction. I think that's one of the things that I love, that you get to work on the type of storytelling that really speaks to you, which I think is really, really awesome. That's there you go. So you wrote in a diary and someone stole it and showed around the school. Yeah, and I could see how that would be really traumatizing. Super sorry that you had to go through that. Really sorry that you had to go through that. Hopefully, when you're ready in the future, you'll be able to return to writing and feel like you feel a little bit more confident in sharing it with the writing community who will support your journey. Yeah, no, you cannot ban me because I'm world famous. I know, with George R.R. Martin, that's funny. I know George R.R. Martin was basically like, screw you, Hollywood. I'm going to go do my own thing that I always wanted to do. And he was successful for it. So I think George R.R. Martin is an excellent story of success and basically going to do what he wanted to do. But he was also consistent, right? So he left Hollywood and then he was consistent with his writing. And you guys, for anyone who's read the Game of Thrones series, they are so well written. I think it recently came out that he's never going to finish the last books. I mean, we'll probably only get the last books after he passes away at this rate. So we'll see. We'll see. I was always such a Game of Thrones fan, and I loved the last book that came out. Was that 15, 20 years ago? So what are you going to do? Lewis and Tolkien didn't do their books in the later life. Yes. I mean, Tolkien, you guys have to remember, was in the war. I believe, I forgot which war he was in, but he spent his early years in a war and in the military, I believe. He didn't become a writer till much, much later in life. And this is something really interesting to think about. A lot of writers, I researched this before. The average writer doesn't write and publish their first book, or they don't finish and publish their first book until generally mid-30s, is the average for writers. The reason being is because the average writer needs life experience for their writing to come across, for them to have the awareness to be able to capture characters in a way that readers want. Now, that's not always the same for everyone. I mean, growing up, I remember a series I loved was the Aragorn series, the Dragon series by Christopher Paolini. And I was so impressed, right? I think he was like a teenage writer and his stuff blew up. And I was so inspired by that, right? And we have writers who started as early as their teens. We have writers who start and become big in their 60s, 70s. So age is just a factor, but I think there's averages, and it's understanding why people generally start getting their stuff published later in life. Well, super. Regardless of what's happened in the past, you're welcome to hang out in the community. Like I said, we stream every day, and I would say, I mean, after we've done about 390 consecutive streams so far, I think in the 390 streams we've done, I probably had about 4 to 5 haters up. So out of 390 days, I've had 4 to 5 haters show up. I empathize with them and then I ban them. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I have a very low tolerance for haters and trolls, which is why I'm trying to build one of the most which is why I'm really trying to create one of the most oh, why I'm blanking on the word. I'm trying to create a writing community that is motivational, but also not just motivational, like inspirational, motivational, and also from a writing skill set as well, while gathering writers of all styles. So we definitely have some really cool writers here in the community. Hey, what's up, Oscar? Ooh, you showed up right at the 27-second mark. Lewis, so I stopped for a bit to see if I loved writing or if it was a task. Also allowed the story to breathe. Now I'm back and loving it. Seeing your continuous posting has kept the embers of writing alive. Yes. Well, Lewis, I'm glad that you found your way back. I think what's important is sometimes we're at points in our life where we have to take a step back, right? Writing takes energy. We might think like, oh, I'm just sitting at a desk. I'm just writing words onto a page or on a notepad or onto my computer. We have to recognize that writing takes a lot of mental energy. It takes emotional energy. And the longer we're writing, it takes time. So if we're trying to balance a 40-hour a week job and family and a dating life and having hobbies and all this stuff, we have to make sure that we're in the right place in our life where we can then have a consistent writing routine where we don't get burnt out. So I think that's absolutely important, which is why I always recommend if you're going to create a writing routine for yourself, like write 2 to 3 times a week, but then stick to that. Make it easy so that way you can balance it with your lifestyle. Then you don't get burnt out in the long run. All right. Like my problem is pacing, to be honest. Yeah, pacing can be a challenging one. And I'll put this out to everyone here. If any of you are wanting feedback on your story, this Saturday is the next episode of the Story and Critique Show. Our Saturday Story and Critique Show is the most popular of all our streams. Writers will submit stories. I will do a live reading of your story excerpt and then a live critique. So anybody that wants feedback on their stories, you should definitely submit to the Story and Critique Show. This is the 35th episode, day after tomorrow. The submission link is down in the YouTube description. So go check it out, go submit. I don't know how many stories we've had submitted so far, but anybody who's wanting feedback on their story, highly recommend submitting. It's an absolutely great experience. So awesome. 25 minutes. All right, which means it's time to get back into the next writing sprint. I'm on a great place. I am on an absolutely great place. And I'm like determined. I'm like, I'm going to finish this chapter today. I'm going to finish it. Okay, let's do it. So come join me. I'll join you guys in the comments during the sprint so I can try to stay motivated and focused on the story. But whether you are brainstorming, writing, or editing, that's all part of the process. And then after, we'll hop into another break. But yeah, with that being said, I got 25 minutes on the clock, and it's time to write now. All right. And writing sprint number 2 done. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So I feel like we were able to make some great progress that time. I know I had to step away for a second, but I felt pretty good about what I was able to get through. I'm almost done with this chapter. I'm almost done with it. I'm tying off a couple more. I think I have like a couple more paragraphs and then I'll be able to wrap up this chapter. This has been like one of the hardest chapters that I've had to rewrite and deal with in a while. It's kind of funny, but I feel pretty good. I know I'll be able to get through it as we're kind of tying off Scarecrow and Mr. Crow's this part of their journey. And this was once again one of the most calm chapters of the book so far, since almost every other chapter has been extreme obstacles, extreme environment, and extreme difficulty. How is your writing coming along? Did that writing sprint help? All right. So I know, let's see, Adrian, you're like, I'm mostly lurking to help with your viewer time while I get other work done. Well, I really appreciate that, my friend. Really, really do. Like 72 words. I'm such a slow writer. I think this is my main issue. Clearly a confidence issue. Well, that's totally all right. I mean, some days we get a lot of words done and some days we don't. There's been days on these writing sprints where I get like only like 100 words done or barely even that. But I think part of the practice is just showing up. I think when you show up to your writing sprints and you keep trying, I think that in itself instills confidence. Right? My average on like a 25-minute writing sprint is like 500 words, but then there's times where I get like 5 words, but I don't feel down about myself because I know I'm going to keep working on the story regardless. So yeah, I'm definitely not the fast writer in the community. Let me tell you, that is definitely not the case. But let's see. So I know Super Rouge, you had asked some really good questions before the break. I wanted to pull them up. And I saw that a couple, you guys were chatting about them throughout, which was awesome. I love the conversation. So let me just go back and find them. Let's see, where were we at? Okay, so there was a couple of questions that you guys had popped in here. Oscar, I know you had mentioned, I'm really trying to work out if I need a chapter 0, which a chapter 0 is a prologue. I might have started the story too late. Funny because I always read about people starting too late. Maybe I overcompensated. So I think when it comes down to story structure, you have to ask yourself, what is your core hero's journey? Right? And then how does that hero's journey start and end? Usually you'll see this in like a great way to look at this is films. Let's say Star Wars, for example. The very opening moment is the starships, the Darth Vader's starships coming in to that's like the first opening image is the starships coming in to destroy the rebels and capture the plans. That's the opening image. The parting image is of New Hope is the looking off into the sun. There's hope. The bad guys have been defeated. There's hope. Opening, no hope. Ending, hope. So thematically, you want to think about your story. Where is the best place to start that serves the theme that represents your core hero's journey? Let's think about. Yeah. So I mean, I think that's a really good way to look at it. Did you start too late for it? It really just depends on what your protagonist's journey is, right? If you feel like you started too late, the question is, why do you feel like you started too late? What about it makes you feel like you did? Maybe you missed a plot point. You're like, okay, well, maybe I feel like I need to really set up this plot point so it makes a little bit more sense for your hero when they get to a certain point in terms of starting and beginning and ending a story. Now, in terms of prologues, we have to keep in mind that prologues and epilogues are not part of your story. A prologue is generally if you need to deliver information to the reader that is outside of your core hero's journey. This is usually done for world building purposes or to set up a greater narrative throughout the story. Anybody who's read The Wheel of Time, which is one of my favorite series, the prologue is about a crazy character that basically explodes and kills everybody in the area. But the story actually starts with our hero on the farm before things really get bad, right? But the reason the writer had to start with the crazy guy from thousands of years before going crazy is because that was part of the A story for the overall series, right? So, and especially for fantasy will sometimes set up with antagonists or serving stories where the first book doesn't really go through that character's journey, but that's what'll happen sometimes. Let's see. And then Super Rouge had another question. Okay, well, mostly when it comes to chapters, when do you know where and how to end a chapter? Like, when does it feel like it's too long or too short? I think that is what's played on my pacing issues. Okay, so no, and this really goes into the same conversation, right? So first off, I am of the belief I would say focus less on chapter length. It's less about like, okay, the chapters need to be a certain length. It should be about the story. It should be about the story and the emotional beats. When we think about a chapter, and I'll throw up my outline on screen so you can actually get a better idea here. Let me go through what's a chapter that has a good beat. So when I think about a chapter, I think about it more from the storytelling beats. I like to think of a chapter has a beginning, a middle, and ending. What is the core purpose of the chapter? What does it serve? And then how does the emotional beats, the beginning, the middle, and end of that chapter serve that core part of the story? For instance, my opening chapter, which is Field of the Last, the summary is that Scarecrow wakes up from a field only to have his hat stolen by a crow. What is my umbrella plot, which is Scarecrow's overarching plot? Scarecrow wants to remember his identity. Is he the last Scarecrow? Subplot, Scarecrow wants to retrieve his arm, which is stolen from him. So I set this up by starting off with the world building and a little setting up Scarecrow's waking up. I ended off by dealing with the arm plot, because then I use that as a cliffhanger to go into the next chapter. I have a beginning, a middle, and ending for that core beat of the story. Now, there's times where you can extend chapters or you can do multiple beats in a chapter, and that just really depends on what your personal preference is and what type of story you're trying to tell. I think also other things you want to keep in mind is what is reader expectations when it comes to chapters. Right? So what is readers' expectations in your genre when it comes to chapters? Fantasy readers are going to have different expectations than romance readers, different expectations than mystery and thriller and horror readers. And I think that can be another factor as well. Fantasy readers tend to like longer chapters because they want to be able to explore more in-depth emotional beats with the character, because the average fantasy reader tends to want more of an advanced character journey. So I think that's an absolutely great chapter. If you're not sure where to end off the chapter, pull yourself back. Think about, what is this beat that I need to get? Or what is this character? What is the part of this character's journey? What is the next big thing that happens in the character's journey? Do I include them in the same chapter, or do I have to have a clear beginning and ending? You could cliffhanger the end of the chapter before you get into the next beat, or you could have it the moment resolve, and then the next chapter goes into the next beat of the story. So I hope that helps a little bit. I always love structuring. I love outlining. Definitely a fan of outlining. Okay. Let's see. There was another one. Also, when it comes to characters, is there such a thing as too many characters? Yes and no. So let me pull up my outline for you, because I actually did all my planning I did a whole planning thing for all the characters in my story. Let's see, got to find it. Cast of characters. Okay, so I'll pull this up really fast. So my characters, I have a total of 28 characters in my fantasy novel. Right now, the novel is about 140,000 words. I need to get it down to about 120,000. I have a total of 28 characters. Of my 28 characters, 4 of them are major characters. These are the 4 close to the protagonists. I consider a major character. They're involved in over 50% of the plot. I then have 4 supporting characters. They are involved in about 25% of the plot. And then outside of my major and my supporting, the rest of them are minor characters. I have 20 characters who are involved in at least 10% of the plot. So you see I have 28 characters. I don't think there is... I think I would worry less about too many or too little, and ask yourself, what is the core story? And how will the characters serve your protagonist, your hero's journey? If it feels like your chapter is missing something, like, hey, I feel like the chapter needs like another, like maybe my hero is really upbeat and it feels like it's too happy. Maybe I need to introduce a character who is weird or sad to kind of create balance. Or maybe my story's too dramatic. Then maybe I need to introduce a supporting character that's really comedic and adds like a comedic element to the storytelling process. I think you can have as many or as little characters as you want. I think in a single scene, the more characters you add to the scene, the more complexity you add. So if you're still starting out as a writer and you're still trying to figure out character dynamics, I wouldn't have too many characters in a single scene at a time, simply so that way you can practice balancing character development with just a few characters, at least in the beginning. And then I think you can work up to that. Not everybody can start off at the George R. R. Martin level and have these extreme diverse like characters in every single chapter, or even Wheel of Time is notable for having the most like he has like hundreds of characters, and every character he introduces throughout the 14 or 15 books is phenomenal. So if you ever want to read a series that does an extremely excellent job with characters, highly recommend the Wheel of Time book series. Definitely highly recommend. So excellent. I hope that helped a little bit. Let me catch up in the comments now. I know I touched on some older comments. Let's see. I know I saw a couple of you guys. Yeah, Oscar, I see what you're saying with our writing sprint. And Adrian had a really great example. You're like, for example, I never say I only wrote X words. Instead, I say, despite all the distractions, I still managed to get X words done. Absolutely a great mindset shift. Absolutely. I mean, guys, out of the 300 and almost out of almost the 400 streams I've done, I would say maybe there's been about 30 to 50 streams where I just didn't feel like writing, but I still wrote anyways. And maybe I got a few words in, maybe I got more in. And half the time that was garbage, and half the time that led to something really good. So I think just by showing up that's part of the what works really well. Yeah, so with the plotting, like I mean, I wouldn't go prologue. I'd probably just mash an extra scene at the start of chapter one. Exactly. I don't think it is set up well enough for one plot point. As I had that idea as I was writing. Yeah, then it sounds like you absolutely should. It sounds like you should write that first scene into the story, and then you can always read it with the chapter that you have and see if it flows naturally and if it works. Maybe the reader needs that setup for the characters to better understand the context of what's happening. Let's see, like, how would you write a bully realistically in like a high school college story? The bully in my book, I was told, was too mean to the mean female character. Well, I think you have to think about characters as, once again, real people. A bully does not consider themselves a bully. So I think if you're going to understand your bully, why are they doing what they are doing? And are their actions believable? Is the bully doing it because they're in love with the girl? Is the bully doing it because they have a poor home life and they're being traumatized? Are they doing it because they had a family member that passed away and they're just lashing out? Are they doing it because they're a criminal? I think there's so many reasons that somebody could be a bully. And I think if you understand what their core journey is and understand that their actions have to reflect that, they will come across more realistic. Right. And like it could be that the bully's coming across too mean. A reader or somebody would probably say it's too mean if they don't understand the bully's intentions. Right. And I think that's something important too to keep in mind. Hey, what's up, Susan? I saw you hopped in a little while ago. Welcome. I'm glad you're able to hop in. I enjoyed the Saw movie. Well, I mean, okay, I enjoyed I've seen all the Saw movies. I'm definitely a horror buff, but I think what the first Saw movie did so well, and this is why it became such a huge franchise, is because they told a self-contained story in a small room, and the twist of the movie was so well done. The twist was so well done. And it was told, that's a story. There's only 2 characters in the movie. I mean, technically there's 3 characters in the movie, but it was engaging. It hadn't been done like that before. And then the twist was so crazy. You're like, but it made sense, right? It wasn't just a twist to have a twist. It was a twist that was awesome. And that's what really set up the Saw movie. Whether people are horror buffs or not, I think the first Saw movie is a phenomenal look into how to do something different. Hence, it worked. Clearly, they came out with what, 10, 15 more Saw movies after that, and many more to come, I'm sure. So all right. Well, I absolutely love the conversations over here. I can see we're chatting about characters and horror and all that jazz. What's up, Bran? I saw you hop in as well. So I could 100% go on with questions for days, and I really had a great time chatting about that. Okay. So let's see, what do I got here? So before we hop into the next writing sprint, so we're going to do another writing sprint of 25 minutes. Before we do, I want to do a call out to a brand new experience that I'm launching, the Write Edit Brand Masterclass. So for any of you who really want to up your writing skill level and really want to improve being a writer, this masterclass is the thing for you. It's an all-intensive 3-day experience that's going to teach you how to learn new writing techniques. On day 1 is going to be focused on the writing process. There's going to be workshops, there's going to be group activities, there's going to be new styles of writing that are going to help you be a better writer. So day 1 is writing. Day 2 is editing. I'm going to teach you how to self-edit and improve your own editing so you can improve the process. We'll be doing an editing styled workshop, something that you haven't experienced before, and it will be a lot of editing techniques. I am a book editor and I've edited many stories. So if you want to learn editing, day 2 is editing. Day 3 is author branding. For us to be successful in the digital age, we have to build up an author brand. Generally through social media. It's not the only way, but that's one of the major ways. So that is day 3 of the Write Edit Brand masterclass. So this literally goes into, I'll drop this in the chat for anybody who wants to check it out. But that goes into all 3 days of it. I highly recommend going to check out the page, seeing if it's something that feels right for you. The masterclass is next weekend. So it's January 31st through February 2nd. Like I said, spots are limited. And right now, the pricing for it, there's a general admission price. So it's $197 to get access to everything, or it's $397 for the VIP portion of it, which is basically you're getting one-on-one time with me each day. This is a phenomenal value because my coaching tends to be a little higher. So you're getting more dedicated time with me. In addition to all the things you'll get from it, you're getting digital worksheets from the that was a little too much. You're getting digital worksheets from the experience. You're getting the recordings and the replays. You're going to get a workbook. And the great thing is you're also going to get a certificate just for completing the masterclass. So if you've never taken a creative writing class before, you're going to be able to walk out of this with a certificate, with a creative writing class certificate, which is really cool. So I highly recommend you sign up. We still got a little over a week, so there's still some time, but definitely recommend signing up if you want to really take your writing to the next level. This is going to be a great way to make a small investment into your writing as a storyteller, and you get to pick or choose. Hopefully you show up to all 3 days, but they'll all be available in the replay. So this will really help you improve. And like I said, I know $197 and $397. I know they cost a little bit more, obviously, than a cup of coffee for sure. But in comparison to a lot of bills, this isn't anything crazy. especially considering how expensive master classes or classes and coursework is by bigger content creators. So good small investment into yourself as a writer if you want to improve. So highly, highly, highly recommend this. Drop that in, and that's what I got for the masterclass. Wanted to make sure that I threw that in there for anyone who wanted to check it out. All right, and let's see. All right, beautiful. So with that being said, I'm glad I was able to announce and advertise the writing class. That is what I got for the writing class. So let's hop into our third writing sprint. I was like, where am I at? I was like, I don't need outline. Let's throw this up. All right, perfect. So writing for 3. Awesome. So whether you are writing, brainstorming, or editing, that is all part of the process. I'm going to finish up this chapter. Hopefully, I'm determined, but come join me because it is time to write now. All right. And that was writing sprint number 3. So I'm really, really happy. I finally finished that chapter. That chapter was about 12 pages of a full rewrite. Oh, man. Okay. So, wow. So I'm glad that I was able to get through that chapter. I know that took me a little longer than I would wanted to. I had already started my planning for the next chapter. And I'm not sure. Yeah, and I feel like the next chapter probably isn't going to be as much rewriting. I think the next chapter is going to be more revising. So I think like now that I've solved that chapter, I'm like, thank you. But I made it through that. I might have to start the chapter and just tie it in to the new chapter, but that shouldn't be too much. So really, really happy. And the next chapter, finally get to chapter 13, when push comes to pebble. I get to finally work towards the introduction of our feisty little pixie. So looking forward to our pixie introduction. I was definitely able to get quite a lot accomplished today. I feel really good. We were able to get through 3 writing sprints and a bunch of writing questions. I saw there were some great conversations in the chat. So I'm really, really happy. Yeah, I could definitely see Natalie. I saw you hopped in briefly near the end there. Always happy to have you in here. Like I'm re-outlining some of my novel and brainstorming. Well, hopefully you're making some awesome progress. So as we reach this part of the stream and we're looking at creative writing on the morrow, I'll be back for another writing sprint stream tomorrow. Come join us. Let's see. Tomorrow, I think I did 1 p.m. Pacific, 2, 3, 4 p.m. Eastern. I'll be back for some more daily writing motivation and hopping into the next section of my book, The Last Scarecrow. So pushing myself to make as much progress as possible. We'll see what shakes loose. In the meantime, if you're looking for feedback on your story, the Story and Critique Show is on Saturday. So make sure you submit now if you want feedback on your story. Submission link is down in the YouTube description. If you enjoyed the stream, tap that like button on your way out. Help me show the algorithms that writing streams are cool. And if you're still feeling the writing vibe and you don't want the conversation to end, come join us in the Discord. The Right Now Discord is the place to be. It is a daily active community and it's an extension of our Right Now streams. The invite link is also linked down in the YouTube description down below. Thank you all for joining me. I know I saw some incredible conversations down in the chat, and it looks like I was not the only one who was getting some great writing vibes. But unfortunately, that brings us to the end of the stream. Don't forget, words are wind, but stories are forever. I'm Kaufman, and I'll catch you on the morrow. Stay creative, my friends.
Right now.
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 Because it's time to write now.